welcome to the Foresight Scrolls Channel. Here on this channel, we take a look at charts using the Foresight Suite of indicators for Tradingview. If you are wondering what those are, you can watch the tutorial here on the channel, or you can go to foresightscrolls.com and check those out. Here we examine charts and trade setups based on these Foresight Suite of Tradingview indicators, and we take a look at indices, stocks, cryptos, and commodities. If you happen to show up and want me to take a look at something specific, I'd be happy to do that. You could just drop that in the chat. If you are, let's see, I already touched on the being unfamiliar with the suite, and I guess I could say it again in case you didn't hear it the first time. You can watch the tutorials on the channel here. So tonight, the name of the stream was Indecision in the market. And so we can see here by looking at the S&P 500, we're just sort of still within this bar. So this is still all inside bar action. You did see it try to peak up here, but we're still inside bar, although it's certainly making an attempt to try to get back up to this all-time high. For a couple weeks now, I've kept up our chart, which has our coloring for very specific reasons having to do with some color psychology. But I do like to look at these traditional colors, specifically on the SPY here, so we can see what's been going on in the SPY since the tariff dumps back in March. You can see we've just been riding this wave up. We stayed inside this channel, tried to break down, got pinched in between the channel and our epoch. You can see how powerful our epoch here is. You can see this perfect touch here, another perfect touch here, and then it's really fighting it. It doesn't know which way it wants to go. So there's a lot of battle between the bears and the bulls happening right in here. We did get a close above it yesterday, and technically another one today, but you can see it's formed this miniature doji candle here. And what that means is there's just indecision. There's a real fight happening right here between the bears and the bulls. So to be continued on the S&P 500 and us trying to figure out if we're at the top of this market or not. So let's take a look at Bitcoin. Yesterday, I mentioned that we had made this huge head and shoulders pattern. I was having trouble finding the drawing tool, but I've got it drawn out here, and you can see our left shoulder, our head, and our right shoulder. This is really cool. We got a premonition right here at the tippy top of this left shoulder, so that's neat. This is really cool too, because you can see we sort of called each top. We called the top here, the top of the head. You know, technically your top are these wicks, but you can see how the sort of meat or the bulk of the price action here. We called the top there and there. It's really, really cool. So we've dropped down and we've broken below the neckline, which is the white line you see here if you're not familiar with the head and shoulders patterns on charts. And these things are still really important to pay attention to, because although we're trading with the Foresight Scrolls, like we would have taken this trade here and we would have won a short. We would have taken this trade here, won this short, another one here, and won that short. So you see we've done it 3 times, and we've also broken below our epoch, which we've just sort of chopped through it here. And Bitcoin actually does that more so than some others. The lower liquidity coins do it a lot. Some don't. It holds better with some coins. Solana, maybe Ethereum, I'd really have to look. Some hold it really well. But we've broken below it, so that tells us that we are, until this changes, we are looking bearish because we're below our epoch. And the cool thing here is that we're pairing this up with breaking below the epoch. We're breaking below a major head and shoulders pattern. I'm going to drop down to the 4-hour, and we talked about this last night. Generally, when you break down below a pattern, any sort of pattern, when you break out of the pattern, you oftentimes will go back and retest it. And earlier today, we retested it right to the T, right to the money. And check this out. We got a premonition. This is probably, I think I mentioned on occasion, we try to take 2%, so that gets an easy 2% right there. And then we bounced back and we tried to do it again, and we got rejected again. So it's now been rejected twice, and we're getting another premonition sign here. On the Mystic Spell, you can see we've already got one short spell and a little bounce back, which is, just a little bit unusual. You see the rollovers are normally consistent. So we're just sort of waiting for any sort of sign here. Perhaps we get, and maybe it's just not on. Yeah, let's turn these on real quick so we can see them. Not that, let's see. We want to see, yeah, actually this is what we want to see right here. This is a really, really good sign. That we're getting, not only are we getting an omen, but we're getting our apprentice spell. So some extra confluence there to the downside, though it did pop up really quickly. And one of the things, actually I didn't bring up Solana, but I'm going to bring that up so we can see something very specific on it that has to do with the flow of time and how you can really use the flow of time to understand how powerful or lack thereof the premonitions might be. I'll bring that up in just a second. Let's actually go ahead and let's do that now. I'll just type it in here. Let's get over to, oh no, it must have been on the 4 hour. I saw that. Well, it's not quite what I was thinking. I must have been thinking about another coin. All right, we'll just drop that for tonight. Last night also we talked about Biogen. So it's in this, has broken out of this very long term downtrend, and we've gotten this retest. And last night I think I had said, okay, we got the daily close here. We've closed above our epoch, just barely, but we've closed above it. And you can see here we've really just hung out right at the top of this all day. So technically when the markets open tomorrow, we will have that confirmation close. And if you're following the Mystic down here, we're watching for this to roll over, but specifically we want to see, sorry, I'm getting peppered with some alerts here. What we want to see is some sort of a signal down here. And if we get a long spell or an apprentice spell, we would most likely take that as a long, because there's just multiple confluence then between not only the Foresight indicators, but just traditional technical analysis here too would be giving us multiple signs up. So if we were to just name these again, you have this major downtrend, which most people just play that with no indicator. We have that. We would be above our blue line, this epoch here. That's our line in the sand that tells us, where the bias is, long or short. Right now it looks like it's holding long, and we're waiting for one more signal down here, and that would be 3 levels of confluence we would have for a long at that point. I don't always keep these up to talk about them day to day, but in a situation like this, I thought that would be cool to see, especially if you happen to watch the previous night's stream. The next one is something really unique, and I thought this could be a really good learning experience. So GE Aerospace had their earnings call today. And something that's been happening with GE, I should be trading these signals that are coming in. So, something that's happened with GE, which is just much like if you look at the S&P 500 or the NASDAQ, after we had these market dumps from the tariffs, I'm quoting that. These dumps were happening regardless of if tariffs were coming or not. They could have been worse, maybe a little faster than they would have been, but you triple topped here already. And if memory serves, I think it's on maybe the 4 hour. We've got signals here for shorting these. But you can see we've been in this terribly long uptrend where it's just sort of bending over. And I don't know this to be true, but I have heard people talk about this sort of a pattern, which is highly unusual, as what happens when we are going into an economic slowdown and major corporations start to do stock buybacks, which has been happening a lot, as I understand it. So that's why you would see this sort of trend chopping up, at this angle or this bend you see it at. And in something that's more natural is what you see here. This sort of action here, where you're getting these big angular moves. But the thing I wanted to point out here tonight was, if we go back and look, go out to our weekly chart. Wow, this goes way back, way back, all the way back to 2000. You see, this was our all-time high up here. Sorry, let's see, let me hide these again. I didn't realize I had so many lines on that chart. I can just leave that off. But point being is that there's a top right about here, an all-time high. And if we put this back on the daily chart, you can see we at an all-time high on a day that the earnings call was. The earnings call, by the way, they beat on earnings. They have the good forecast for the future. Everything about it today was green and positive, which means that you should go up, especially the percent of difference that they had in what they had expected versus what the previous forecast was versus the actual earnings. And right away at market open, you did see it explode higher. But as you can see right here, it exploded higher and during the day got completely ate back down. And that's very telling, because now we're creating a topping tail at the very top, the all-time highs of a market. And normally that's a real strong signal for a pullback. So we're going to keep this chart up maybe for the next week or so we can just sort of watch what happens with this thing. Although the market's been so weird that, who knows, anything could happen. But normally this is a real strong signal. If you short the market, you could short GE Aerospace specifically, because there's 3 different GE companies after they were all broke up. So you can see even after market hours, we're still falling. And this after really impressive earnings call. So this is really, really telling. So we want to see tomorrow where the market closes. If you get a close below the topping tail here, that's just additionally strong signal that the market's heading down. So as of right now, as far as Foresight goes, you can see that we actually got a long spell, but this isn't unusual if you understand stocks and their earnings calls. So a lot of times we'll have this build up, and we're just at the end of a quarter also. And at the end of a quarter, things that have been doing really good, funds, they want to have those things on their books, and then they'll sell them off at the end of the quarter. So the fact that we're seeing a long spell here, but we're getting this conflicting topping tail is nothing really to write home about, other than you see these sorts of things with stocks in particular. So it's always really good to know when the earnings calls are. And I actually think that's what this is. Yeah, earnings review. Oh, great. It's right here. So you can see we're all green on the earnings review. It's really cool to have these on your screen, because if you're trading stocks and say you're, I don't know, for whatever reason, you're waiting for a flow of time signal, and let's just say you got the flow of time signal a bar or two before, but you know the earnings call was the next day. That's something to be really mindful of in the stock world, because it's not only signals and technical analysis that's pushing price around, but it's actually how these companies are performing. Whether or not we get real accurate numbers there, who knows, but it's still something that the market responds to. So we'll take a look at corn too. We took a look at corn yesterday. It's been beaten down forever. Yeah, I think last night we said with corn, it's a defensive play as things get more expensive for people. Steak. I think I saw a steak for like $13 or $14 the other day at the grocery. As things get more expensive, the cheaper foods are more consumed. Wheat and corn, those rice, those sorts of things. And you see those things start to climb in the market. So it looks like right now what we're trying to do is really attack this epoch and see if we can get above it. We've got some strong signals down here. We ran into it today, a little rejection, and we'll see if this will hold up over the next few days and break up. Currently, and I think I posted this last night, it looks like you're getting this ABC pattern forming here. So, that I would say I'd be really confident if we get confirmation daily closes above that epoch that we would in fact go up and finish that out. And the main point of the channel here is to just show off really how cool the indicator is and take a look at these assets, and how they respond to the Foresight Scrolls. You can trade these things all day long. Here's one right here. I guarantee that this is, let's see, if you took it right there, yep, you got your 2% right there on that bar. And I'll try to remember to say every day also that, for the most part, most people take these signals and they will trade at candle close. So they'll make sure for sure that this is going to print. It's going to be a good signal. But we have this built where you can scan an entire watch list and get these immediately. And the only way that you can do that with TradingView otherwise is to make an alert for each symbol. You can't create an entire watch list and get that watch list scanned intra-bar. It will let you send intra-bar alerts, but you have to do it per symbol. So that's one really cool thing about the way we've designed our indicators here. This one, no, you got stopped on this one for sure, but the 2 out of 3 ain't bad, and you definitely pulled your 2% on that one. So that's what we're waiting for on corn. We'll just maybe we'll wrap it up there today. I think I just had ETH up for no particular reason. I think I was just looking at it, and you can see, we've gotten some good signals here that have played out in our favor. All right. Well, thanks for everyone. If you happen to see this stream down the road, thanks for checking it out, and have a good rest of your day.